Welcome back to Medrash U'Maisa, sharing a story for this week's Parsha, Parshas Kedoshim. The Rachmistrivka Rebbe of America, Zecher Tzadik Livrocho, just passed away this year, told a story about his ancestor, Rabbi Yochanan of Rachmistrivka. There was once a famous wedding in Europe that was known, he said, as the Chatiner Chasna, perhaps because of where it took place. And it was a wedding between Rabbi Yochanan's daughter and the member of the Bayaner dynasty who became known later as the Pachad Yitzchak of Bayan, the Bayaner Rebbe. Thousands of Jews came to that wedding. Now, at the Seuda, at the meal, they had benches which were going up one upon the other, what's called in Yiddish faranches, and they were serving people who were eating standing up. Unfortunately, there was a chassid who was standing directly above the Rebbe, and when he got his bowl of soup, he dropped the full bowl of soup and scored a direct hit on Rabbi Yochanan of Rachmistrivka's new shtreimel that he had bought for the wedding. The bowl was so full that it saturated the shtreimel, and soup was raining down on the Rebbe's face and beard and payas. The Rebbe turned around, looked up, and said, "Whose soup was that?" The chassid was petrified and was afraid that the Rebbe would be upset with him. He pointed to himself, and the Rebbe said, "So you don't have soup?" He turned to the waiter who was giving out soup to people. He says, "Bring that man soup, he doesn't have any." And with that it was over. In our parsha we learn, V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, which Rabbi Akiva told us is the klal gadol b'Torah. It's a small story, but it's a story that can only be done by a great person who has a constant Ahavas Yisrael running within him. Immediately to be able to sense the pain and fear of the mortified chassid, to be able to think of a clever way to transmit to the chassid that he's not bothered by it and that he loves him and he cares for him, and to be able to do all of this without hesitation shows the greatness of Ahavas Yisrael, which is expressed in those small actions. I heard a similar story listening to a shir by Rabbi Ben-Zion Twersky Shlita from Milwaukee. He said that when he was learning in Borough Park in Bobov, his great uncle was the Bobov Rebbe, Shlomo Halberstam Zatzal. So he said at the Tish, there would be a Toranut. Talmidim would take turns having the honor of bringing the Rebbe a glass of tea at the Tish. Now he said, European Jews often liked their tea extremely hot. They wanted it like bubbling in the cup when it was brought to the table. And this boy who had the opportunity to bring the tea on that Shabbos approached the Rebbe at the Tish, but then he stumbled and spilled the tea right on the Rebbe's lap. The Rebbe's reaction was simply to look at those around him. He said, "How many times do I have to say that I like my tea to be hot?" It was without hesitation. It was such a clever way of transmitting to this young man that's fine, nothing happened, I'm not burnt, to do it even with a sense of humor. This is the greatness of people who are true Ohavei Yisrael, and oftentimes that greatness is expressed in the small actions that come in a moment of crisis, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives those who love his children the wisdom and the words to be able to help them feel good if they're truly imbued with the midah of Ahavas Yisrael. Wishing everyone a wonderful Shabbos and Kol Tuv.